All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. I see the attendees number is slowly climbing up. We'll give everyone just a couple more minutes to come on in and get settled, but thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we're really looking forward to speaking with you all.
And just a note for folks joining, I don't think Shamira said it yet, but we will be recording the session. So if you feel like there's something you missed, don't worry. We'll also have plenty of time for some open Q&A towards the end, and we'll be answering some questions in the chat. So feel free to sit back and relax as other folks join us. A lot of what we're going to be talking about this evening is already on our website, but we want to make sure that you're hearing it from the folks that are going to deliver you a premier move-in experience this fall. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, there's something I missed. There's a recording, and also much of what we talk about is repeated elsewhere. We'll just give it a minute or more here. And no surprises, we'll be doing some just introductions of who's on the call as we start and get rolling. Okay, hovering around a very big number of participants. So we'll go ahead and start. Welcome in. If you are joining us, you are here for the Move to AU 2026 move-in webinar, where we will be talking to you about everything you need to know ahead of your move-in to American University and ahead of your welcome and first year new student orientation. If you're with us here on this call, you're either a student, parent, or a parent of a student, family of a student, guardian of a student. This is for you. We have new first year students. We may have some new transfers with us as well, potentially some new graduate students. So we're going to cover a lot. But that's what this webinar is for. And again, we will have a recording at the end and some time for Q&A. We'll get started with just introductions. My name is Mason. I am the Director of Housing. I serve as a co-director with the Director of Residence Life, which is a unit that we'll talk about on this call. We make up the Housing and Residence Life leadership team. I am joined by Shamira James. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Shamir James. I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator for Housing and Residence Life. So I run our social media accounts, and I've been communicating with you all about move-in, and it's really nice to meet you all. I'm going to hand it over to Kiana.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kiana Bowen, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Assistant Director of Housing Assignments. So I work with a lot of our housing processes, a lot of the applications and things like that, as well as with our Housing Assignment Specialist. So very nice to meet everyone here, and I will pass it to Sheldon.
Oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Sheldon Coleman, and I am the Associate Director of Housing Operations. I oversee the facilities and the housing operations side of the house. Very nice to meet you all, and I will see you in the chat. And I'm going to hand it on over to Samantha.
Hello, I am a housing assignment specialist here. So I work alongside Kiana as well as Lauren, who I'll pass it on along to. I'll be in the chat if you need me.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm also one of the housing assignment specialists, and I work alongside Sam and Kiana. And I will pass it on to Sydney.
Hi, folks. My name is Sydney Roig. I am the Associate Director for Residence Life here, and I work closely with our hall staff, so our Community Director team, and our resident assistants on campus. And I will pass it along to who is left here? I think Ben.
All right, thanks, Sydney. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ben Juliana. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the lone person not in housing and residence life here. I'm the Associate Director of Orientation in New Student Family Programs, so I'm here to talk a little bit about the new student orientation process that often parallels the move-in process. But I'll pass it back to Shamir to get us started.
All right. We're going to go on and kick it off with our agenda. Mason, take it away.
And I'll note as we go to the agenda, there's going to be a lot of stuff we talk about. We do have a chat feature running. We have a Q&A feature running throughout the webinar. I know Sam and Lauren and others mentioned there's so many of us because we're such a big group and so supportive of incoming students. We also want to make sure we're answering your questions in a timely fashion. So if you have a question, feel free to throw it in there. I will also note, I don't think we shouted out our AU current student, Asab, who is here with us tonight as well. If you have a question for a current AU student, Asap is going to be the one grabbing that question and answering you in the chat. So give a wave, Asap. I can't see you on my screen, but I know you're on. Anyway, so today or tonight's agenda, we're going to be going over mainly the operations that will support your successful move to American University. And our campus is located in the northwest sector of DC. Not very hard to get to, but we know that this is a time of year when everybody is thinking about all the logistics and the planning that go into a successful move-in day. For many of our parents and families, this may be your first student that you're sending off to college. So really what we want to do this evening is give you a chance to kind of relax into some of the details. We do a lot and take a lot on as a campus and as a housing and residence life and a new student orientation team. So much of what is on this agenda is to make you feel a little bit more comfortable about what the day is actually going to look like. There are going to be details that we share, but I said it at the top as people were trickling in. A lot of this is going to be repeated information to what's on our website. The most important thing for y'all is just getting a sense of what the day is going to feel like more than anything. The logistics will kind of come later, and we'll talk more through what that looks like. But three main sections here. What to do before you arrive. We have a couple options as students are getting ready for the year that are currently active or live, or that will be working with you or sending more information. Some of those things, room enhancements, first year incoming students, you may have seen announcements to you about your housing assignment. We just opened up some of our housing upgrades in your housing portal. We're going to talk about those just in case you haven't heard. We're going to give you some tips and tricks for what to bring, what not to bring. All of our incoming first year students love to think about what items they're going to be bringing with them, and they probably end up bringing twice the amount of stuff that they need. So we're going to help you with that a little bit this evening, and just give you some tips and tricks. We're going to talk about move-in time slots and the actual timing of your day. And then we're going to kind of end that section talking about what our HRL, our housing and residence life preparation, is for a successful move-in day and ultimately a successful experience as a new student on AU's campus. Then, of course, we'll talk about the logistics of the day itself, which probably right now feels like the most important thing, but you'll notice it's one of our shorter two sections. We're going to go through the maps of campus, how things work, what to expect when you arrive, how we connect to some of the resources immediately on campus that are provided through new student orientation and some of our partner kind of offices. And then settling in, that last section is really about what are the things that happen once your first move-in day has quieted down, but before you've kind of kicked off into some of your orientation, your welcome week programming. So that's the kind of run of show. We again expect that questions will pick up as we get through more of the details, but don't worry if we don't get to a question. We will have an open Q&A, as I mentioned, at the very end as well. So we have plenty of time. We may not need the whole time. This presentation we should be able to get through pretty painlessly.
All right. So we are currently in the before you arrive portion of the move to AU process. So this is the prep that we hope you're thinking about and doing on your end, as well as some things that we're doing on our end. So on our end, of course, it's fitting that I do this slide because one of the biggest things that's happening right now is us communicating to you all. This happens via your AU email. This is on the housing portal. It's on our website, social media, things of that nature. It's just very important that you are constantly checking those mediums just for different updates about things you can expect when you get here. This can be, your time slots or things you'll need when you actually are arriving to campus. We'll talk a little bit later about your hang tags and cart tags and things like that. But it can also be for more fun and social things that your student will experience once they get here, just like different events and stuff to get them acclimated into finding their home at AU. Also on our website, another way that we communicate things to you is with our virtual tours. If you have not ever been to the campus yet and so you have no idea what the rooms look like, I can say personally for me, when I was going to school, I never had time to make it down to the school that I went to. So virtual tours, pictures of the rooms were really helpful for me. If you have not been able to see what your hall looks like, you can certainly visit our website and check out the virtual tours of the buildings. We have them of the bathrooms in the buildings. If you really want to get as as most accurately acclimated to your space without ever actually having been here before. We recommend those as a really good resource. We also hope right now that you are putting together some packing, whether that's going to the store and purchasing things or communicating with our campus partners in mail services to figure out when you can ship things to campus. We just do hope that you are using the packing list. We have it on our website. It should also be linked in our link tree on social media, but we have our do's and don'ts. This is everything ranging from tips and things that we think are helpful to bring all the way to things that we unfortunately do not permit in the halls. So it's really good to get yourself familiar with that. We don't want to run into the issue of, having you bring down your own mattress on move-in day and we're like, you actually have to lug that back all the way to Seattle and we're so sorry. So it's best to make sure you have that straight ahead of time. It's also a really good time to be talking to your roommate about what shared items you're going to bring. For example, maybe both of you don't need a Keurig in your room. Maybe you both don't need to buy a full length mirror. So just little things like that. And it's also just a good practice to talk to your roommate in general so that, when you move in, you're not living with a complete stranger. And then if for some couple extra things just related to some of our vendors, and then again, working with Sheldon and his team, we do partner with a company called Go Breeze. They supply us with micro fridges. These are the only fridge microwave units that we allow in our residence halls. So if you're looking to secure one of those, we have them linked on our website. They're linked in the portal. They're linked on our social media. So you can certainly access them through any points. And I do believe right now they are running a bit of an early bird special. So you want to get on that as soon as possible. And then we also have what we call room upgrades. So in your housing portal, you can purchase a bed loft or you can request an XL bed. Doing those like a bed loft gives you just more space in your room. Again, those are things you can see on the virtual tours. And an XL bed is for our residents who are 6'3" and above, and we do require some proof for that. But yes, so these are all the things we're doing on our end. And again, just to go back and touch on some of the things that you need to pack, our biggest tip for when you're packing for coming to campus is when in doubt, leave it out. If you are super unsure if you need a fifth extension cord, you can leave it out. There's stores that are nearby. So if you're like, dang, I really did need more, I don't know, clothespins, just something random, you can certainly go to the store and get that. But don't overthink it. You will have the entire year to get things for your room. You don't have to bring everything when you first get to campus. Definitely opt for things that you can reuse, like the storage containers, things like that. That'll make it really simple when you have to move out in the spring semester. So you want to think about things that can be reused and things that can be used as storage in your space. DC is the weather in DC is very strange, and I've lived in the DMV all my life, and I'm still not used to it. But that being said, DC does typically stay warm until November, so you want to think about when you need certain layers and stuff. So obviously there's a fall break. If you choose to go home during that time, you can grab more of your winter clothes instead of bringing all that down immediately. And then just continuing on here, just making sure that on the day of, it's the same tip that you use for when you're moving into an apartment or a house, but make sure you have the things you immediately need ready. So when we talk about the move-in process, we run into issues sometimes where students oh, I need my, my state ID, but it's in the bottom of this bag. That's the last thing that we put in the trunk and it just doesn't work. So you want to make sure that the things that are most important to you, you have ready and accessible so we can keep the day moving as easily as possible. And then of course you want to make sure you have your hygiene products and things like that. But everything is on the packing list. We don't leave anything out. And of course, if you ever have questions or you're maybe confused about something, you can always contact us. There are some items that do have exceptions. So obviously, if you have a support animal, you would work with our partners at the Office of Support and Disability to get that paperwork to us to make sure that we know that you have a pet that is allowed to be on campus. For bed risers, while we don't allow your typical bed risers that go on the bottom of your frame, you can rent a bed loft, or we do have a video on our social media that shows you how to raise the bed height. You might recognize a familiar face if you go and see it. It's me. But that is a full tutorial on how you can raise your bed to create some space in your room should you need it. I know in the end we'll have more questions about coffee makers and things like that, so I will save that for the end. But yes, that is everything that we recommend for packing and things you could be doing right now to prep as you are getting ready to come see us in August.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm going to be discussing on our end in terms of the room upgrades, and I'm going to be able to answer some of those questions that are in the chat as we speak right now. So the first thing is that after you move in, and that actually is available currently right now, we opened it up on the 29th, but you do have the option to install purchased bed lofts. We also have an XL bed request. Obviously, you have to meet a certain height, and that height is 6'3", and that does need to be confirmed by a photo license. But we do have XL beds that are available. The XL beds are 84 inches in total, and our regular size XL twins, which are the standards that are in our beds, are 80 inches. We also, as we spoke before on the previous slide, we do deliver the micro fridges, and they are actually through a company called Go to Breeze. Those are available currently, and that is a microwave and a refrigerator combination. We obviously always recommend you speaking with your roommate before you purchase that because you don't need two in one room. But that certainly is a service that we do have available there. And I'll speak more to that on the following slide. In terms of the training of our staff, obviously, once you get here, we have several staff. So what we're doing currently is we have residence life staff. We are obviously are training and preparing for the upcoming year. We have our student staff that will be there with our desk attendants. We also obviously have our resident assistants when we speak about our student staff. And we also have our students that work at our front desk. So lots going on right now. Last but not least, obviously, we are training for move-in. Move-in is going to be happening in August. So we are actively preparing the facilities to get you all ready to come back and join us in the fall. In terms of bed lofts, I know there were questions on that, so here's a slide that talks and speaks specifically to that. You are right, our normal bed heights are around 3 feet. This bed loft will add another 4 to 5 feet onto your space. So if you look in those pictures, you can see some examples of that bed loft. Popular to be able to put that desk underneath there and still be able to have some space. So to answer those questions, bed lofts are an additional 4 to 5 feet of space that allows under your bed. We do not allow you to bring your own bed lofts. Please remember that they have to be purchased and installed by my team. And then I spoke again earlier about the XL mattresses. People had questions on what size our standard mattresses are. They are 80 inches long, and the XL mattresses are 84 inches long. Again, all of this information is found on our website. And again, both of those links are open currently.
All right, so as we're going through our before you arrive checklist, we obviously want to know when we can arrive on campus. So at this point, we want to confirm our move-in time slot. So at this point, all students should be able to, all students have an assignment, so they should be able to see if they have reserved a time slot for themselves on their housing portal. Within this little section on your housing portal, you'll be able to see the date and time, the arrival window that you have, the move-in type that you have as far as what your classification is, and the location that you will be going to. If for any reason you don't love your time, there is an option for you to be able to change that time slot also within the portal. I do want to kind of backtrack a little bit because we do have current transfer students who may be on this call. So it is important for you all to note that as you all are getting your assignments and as those are released in the next couple weeks, those time slots will also be released alongside those assignments. So if you don't see anything right now, don't panic because you don't have an assignment. Once that assignment is locked in, you will get that time slot also with that. So going into maybe something's happened, you can't come in on the original time that you set. There is an option for you to change your time slot. So that is also within the portal. It'll be a drop down function for you to be able to change that. And if you go to the next slide here, we'll be able to show how you'll be able to go into early arrival. So if that time slot doesn't work for you and you need to come in earlier than the time that we allot for our first year and our incoming transfer students, there is the option for you to apply for a early arrival or submit a form for early arrival. So once you do that, that is a drop down menu for you to be able to select that. And that does go to our team. It is assessed based on kind of availability and what we have available. And then you will get a notification, as you can see here, that early move-in is either approved or denied with your approved time in there as well. I do want to note the very important thing to note is we may have other classifications on this call as well, that this early arrival form is only available for our first year and our incoming transfer students. So no other students will be available for this, and just note that it is reviewed and approved based on how space allows.
Okay. So now we're going to get into some of what's more stuff's going to look like. So we've talked about hang tags and cart tags. I will note that Kiana mentioned it already. I know Sheldon mentioned it. The housing portal, the AU housing portal is where a lot of what we're talking about is going to live. So there were some good questions in the Q&A already. But just keep in mind that most of what we're showing is something that incoming students are able to view, and you should be able to look at kind of what we're showing and seeing here as things are released. Generally speaking, Shamira does a great job job of getting emails out to remind you when something new is available. So, for example, hang tags and cart tags, or a move-in time slot email that went out a little while ago, a week or so ago. So if you're not seeing something that you would expect to see, or if you can't find it, just want to note that like our team is available to you. We have 9 to 5 business hours. We have a phone number that we'll list at the end. We have a live chat, and we have in-person hours if you're around DC and want to drop in and ask us a question. But the housing portal is going to be the main hub for pretty much everything that we're talking about, from reassigning or reassessing your time slot to getting the hang tags and cart tags that you'll see here. The slides that follow this are going to be all map related and traffic related. The first thing to know is that the hang tag that was just on the screen is different from the cart tags that are here now. So the hang tag is just for you to have on the dashboard of your car when you arrive to campus, whether or not you're moving in on a Sunday or a Monday, or whether or not you're one of our students who is part of a pre-approved early move-in or one of the requested early move-ins that Kiana noted for Saturday, the 22nd of August. This tells us when you get to campus, and depending on the day, you may be coming in a different entrance, where to direct you and where to get you to go. While we're going to show you maps, I will tell you that our campus is not huge. It's pretty dense in terms of where we'll be sending you as a first year student. You won't be going to one of our kind of satellite buildings where our upper division students can live. So a lot of the day, it's going to feel like right now, like, oh my gosh, how do I get to campus? What entrance am I going to? What gate? Everything that we're going to walk you through is going to be on this hang tag so that when you pull into campus, somebody is telling you where to go. It'll include your arrival gate, your residence hall, and important parking instructions. And it, again, is something that you're going to print off and bring with you when you come on the day. Cart tags, which is the second thing, are totally different, though they look kind of similar. These are things that are going to be printed off that will enable you to really easily hand off all of your stuff to someone else, so we can unload your car for you, take your cart tags from you. They're going to go on some carts where we've loaded your stuff into, and take them up to your residence hall where we've directed you to, and get your stuff into your room for you without you ever having to leave the car. You will go and park and do some fun things we'll talk about in a little bit later. But in order to do that, you have to bring these with you. So you see an example here. This will be on your housing portal. It's based on what your current room assignment is, and it'll change. If you happen to have a room assignment change right before move-in, it'll update. Just remember to print off new tags and bring them with you. They don't need to be in color. They don't need to be, we tell you to cut them out if you can. We basically just need what your name is, your cell phone number, if you've put it, and your room number is the most important thing, because this is what one of our AU volunteers, some of the fine folks that we'll talk about a little bit later, how they'll be getting your stuff where it needs to go. They should be on the housing portal now. If you haven't seen them, let us know. I think I have that right. Kiana will correct me if not. But again, housing portal for all of this stuff. Those are two things that you're going to bring with you, and we are going to remind you to bring them via email. So don't worry, you don't have to remember all the way from now to the 23rd or the 24th of August. So move-in day, the operational logistics that you're all kind of waiting for. We say it here, just get here and we'll handle the rest. You see our fine folks, our volunteers actually from one of our years outside Let's Hall. Our move-in day is meant to be an experience where if you're coming on Sunday or Monday, those are our biggest days for incoming first year and new transfer students. We want you to worry as little as possible about the logistics of driving, unloading your car, parking, getting your AUID. We want to do those things as seamlessly as we can for you. So we'll talk about this a little bit later. We have a lot of folks that from the moment you drive onto campus will be directing you through to the building you need to get to, that will be unloading your car for you, getting things packed up and into your room, and then sending you on to go get parked and start meeting with people in our Mary Graydon Student Center as quickly as we can. That'll all make more sense in a minute, but just know that our goal for your move-in day, especially on Sunday and Monday, the 23rd and the 24th of August, is to make that first part, the part that you're thinking most about right now, as logistically seamless as possible. And we kind of take some of the control from you. There's not that much you're going to be doing on this level other than bringing those cart tags in and saying hello to people as we welcome you to campus in your car. So that's the goal. Let's start with the dates. We will focus right now on Sunday and Monday, and then we'll go back to Saturday. Because Sunday and Monday are the majority of our first year and new transfer students. This is the day that you have currently assigned on your housing portal. We'll talk about Saturday in a minute. This is a day when you're going to have a time slot that can begin as early in the morning as I think 8:20 is our earliest time slot. We start at 8:20 and we basically go all day till 3 or 4, welcoming students to campus and bringing you, like I said, bringing your car through campus, unloading your car, and then getting you over to our Mary Graydon Student Center where we have some programs, some events, and some things for you to do right when you get here before we ultimately lead up to the goodbyes that happen that evening. Ben will talk a little bit about some of the programming that's going on, but what I want to note is Sunday and Monday are those fully assisted move-in days where you can expect kind of that white glove service for us doing everything from the moment you get on campus. Once your car has been unloaded, you'll be going to a parking garage and, as I've said many times at this point, going to do the fun stuff and kind of say your goodbyes or get welcomed on campus, take pictures, all the fun stuff that we do over on Central Campus. It will be some time before you come back to your residence hall room where your stuff will be waiting for you. That's how Sunday and Monday is going to go. For Saturday, the 22nd, we do have pre-approved early move-ins for folks who are a part of a pre-orientation program, who are part of a specific themed community move-in, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So some of you may be on the call noting that, wait a minute, I have a Saturday time slot already. How is my move-in day going to be different? It's going to be a little bit smaller. When we go through the maps, the way you'll move through campus is a little different, and we'll have fewer people kind of to unload your car and your load up carts for you and get you where you need to go. But for the most part, it's largely the same. We're going to have volunteers available to welcome you to campus. We're going to have our partners in parking services and the AU Police Department kind of directing you through campus to get where you need to go. You're not going to get lost. And when it comes time to unload your stuff, we're going to have bins and stuff available to kind of get things unloaded and get things up to your residence hall room. On that day, we'll have fewer kind of volunteers generally. So if you wanted to kind of move quicker, we'll kind of invite you to like help us move stuff up with you. But we'll have some folks helping us out as well. But Saturday is a day where we have a lot of early programs beginning even that evening. So if you're noting like, wait a minute, I have a program that night. Yep. And if you don't see the 22nd on your move-in time slot or your housing portal, let us know if you're a part of one of those communities and we'll get you sorted and make sure you're here because we want to make sure you've moved in time for your early program to start. Those are the 3 days that matter most, probably to most of the people on this call, but we continue right on through the week. Sophomore move-in begins on Tuesday, goes through Thursday. Upper class move-in begins on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, goes through that weekend, and then we start with the first day of classes on Monday, the 31st. You'll note we have a little Claude sticker on the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. For those that are a part of the normal kind of move-in, that's when the bulk of our orientation program is going to begin. So if you're not moving in on the 22nd as part of an early program participant, you're going to be doing a lot of the welcome stuff and the orientation stuff that goes on starting on Tuesday all the way through the rest of the week. And that'll continue right along with welcome kind of events scheduled throughout the first week of classes. So this is just a small snapshot. It feels like the most important day to each of you on this call is the day that you're moving in, the day that you need to be here. And in terms of travel and everything you have to do, it probably is. But the programming is the thing we really want to get you set up for. And we want to make sure that you're here moved in as kind of seamlessly as possible so that we can really welcome to AU in the best way we know how, which is starting you off with programs, with engagement, and with connecting with your peers on campus, in addition to all the faculty, students, and staff that are going to be here supporting you. Okay, the road to AU. I've dropped some hints here. These maps are so great, and Shamira has done such a good job designing them, and they're beautiful and wonderful. Do not feel like you need to memorize what these maps say. We're going to show them, we're going to talk through them briefly, and then we're going to move on. Because ultimately, when you show up to campus, the most important thing is we're going to be helping you get where you need to go, no matter kind of how you're showing up. And we're going to be communicating this out as we get closer to move in. So don't feel like you need to write it down. You don't need to draw a map on a notebook pad, whatever you're doing. We'll use these maps as kind of a guide to kind of talk through everything I've said logistically. There'll be signs. AUPD, I already mentioned, move-in volunteers, and then the car hang tags are going to tell us where to send you even before you've gotten close to where we'll have someone watching out for you and making sure you're getting where you need to go. So we'll start with Saturday, early move-in. This one's a little bit more complex because we have more buildings where move-in is actually occurring. So you'll note that this the first map is for our north side move in. So that's Hughes, McDowell, Leonard, and Cassell. McDowell and Leonard are both halls where if you're living in our First Flight or Eagles in Community themed communities, those will be the buildings you'll be moving into as a first year student. We'll have some non-first year students moving in as well, but you're going to be coming in at the northwest gate, which is called Glover Gate, right off of Massachusetts Avenue. Again, don't worry about that detail. We'll get you more information as we get close. But we're going to have you enter at that gate so we can get you directly where you're needing to go. And you are pulling on our campus, you're pulling right up to or right next to the residence hall building to which you'll be moving. So there's no need to worry about having to park far away and roll things. We will be pulling you right up alongside the doors or alongside the drive that leads to the residence hall that you're going to. And then having on Saturday, again, I said it before, but we'll have carts available and some volunteers to kind of help you at least get unloaded. And then you can start taking stuff up, go get your ID, stuff like that. We note that it's an unassisted move-in day. A better way to say it is it's kind of like an assisted light day. So because it's smaller numbers and because we have a lot of our volunteers doing our help that day, it's going to be a little bit more of a process to have cars unloaded and carts loaded up. But again, I make that point of you're pulling right up to the residence halls, and then once your car's unloaded, going to park, and we'll direct you throughout. People will be in the vicinity to talk you through what you need to do. So I mentioned Glover Gate. This map is for our residents moving into Anderson Letts Centennial, which are our bigger, primarily first year buildings. Probably more of you on this call are living in those buildings than in the buildings I mentioned. On the south side of our campus, we have another entrance. We call it the Fletcher Gate. It is right off of Nebraska Avenue. So it's just the other end of campus, and we're having you enter at that entrance because it's going to be easier for you to get to. We have in years past diverted traffic a little bit and switched up entrances. So like I said before, like I'm repeating, don't feel like this map is like a hard and fast. We will update you as we go with kind of where you're planned to be, and on the day we'll direct you if we need to redirect you. The other part I'll note is all the maps that we're noting. Shamir's done a great job to kind of call out where the main parking garage is. It's not the only parking garage on campus, but for Saturday, it's most likely the parking garage that you're going to be parking at. It is central to campus. We're not going to just point and tell you where to go. We're going to have people kind of all along the route to tell you how to get where you need to go. So we'll promise you that you will not get lost at any point throughout the day. That's Saturday, those two different entrances. Oh, I forgot one. So sorry, Roper Hall. How could I forget? Sankofa House, if you're a part of our Sankofa House and Roper Hall themed community, that's going to be entering at the same Fletcher Gate entrance at the south side of campus, and we will direct you just slightly differently once you've gotten through that entrance to get right next to that building to unload. And for our themed communities, you'll be seeing many of the same faces that you're seeing on this call welcoming you on Saturday, because those are all housing and residence life themed communities that we kind of produce and operate. So we'll be seeing you then, and then throughout the day, we'll be talking with more of you as we move and walk through campus. So now we're on Sunday and Monday. These 2 days look the same because the traffic pattern, which is a little bit more simple because there are so many more of you moving in on these days, and so they have to be. There's one line of cars that's coming through campus. It's entering at the Glover Gate on the northwest side of campus. So off of Mass Ave. If you're familiar with the area, you're sort of coming from the Bethesda, Maryland area into DC on Mass Ave. That's Ward Circle, the traffic circle that you see there. You'll be coming in that direction so that you can get to campus most easily. We're sending you through that gate, and depending on whether or not you're moving into Hughes or McDowell, or you're moving into the things we mentioned before, Anderson Letts Centennial, our largest first year buildings, you'll either be directed kind of and diverted off once you've entered, kind of in the same way we did for folks at Roper on the other end, or you'll be brought all the way through campus in a long line of cars so that we can unload you at Anderson, Letts, and Centennial. We're going to start getting some questions in the chat soon or now about like how long do we anticipate waiting in the car. Depends on how we're doing with unloading cars and how much stuff all of our fine first years have brought with them this upcoming fall. So keep that in mind. Be sustainable. Don't bring more than you need. Use our packing list. But generally speaking, if you're coming in at your move-in time slot, we're able to get your car kind of unloaded within the hour that you're kind of in. So if you're at 8:20, by 9:20, we usually have you unloaded and parked. We do a lot better depending on, just how the traffic flow is. I will note at this point for folks on the call, DC has like a lot of events. I think the Grand Prix that's currently planned is going on this same weekend, but luckily our campus is on the kind of northwest side of DC. So entering on Mass Ave really usually isn't that challenging. And our goal in getting your cars unpacked and getting you pulled through campus in this long line of cars is that you're not sitting on a city road waiting to turn into campus. That's the kind of biggest thing. And so you'll be pulled through campus and kind of welcomed. We'll have volunteers all throughout the roadmap, as I've said, to kind of make sure you have your car tags ready, make sure you know what building you're going to. If you have questions, you're going to have 3 or 4 spots to talk with folks and chat. And by the time you get to the residence hall, you're going to be ready to have your car unloaded on these days, and you'll be parking shortly after. It's like a 2-minute drive from where you're unloading to the main parking garages. Again, Bender Garage is the main one, but we have some more we might direct you to. Now, I know there are probably questions there, but that's the main kind of flow. I think, Shamira, I made it through all the maps. I don't think there's another one.
Yes.
Oh, very good. I've done a very good job.
I think
And I
this is
think
my
this is still me, unless I'm mistaken.
I think it might be my slide.
Oh, it's you, Shamira. I will hand it off. I need a break anyway.
Yes. So Mason did a really good job of covering the kind of physically driving to campus and like being on campus in your car piece. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about what it actually is going to look like. So as you can see in these pictures, we have these lovely cardboard boxes brought to us by our move-in team. I'm believing we're using Perry Movers again. They're phenomenal. But essentially, the biggest difference between Saturday early move-in and the Sunday, Monday is on Saturday. While there will be plenty of community members and people like volunteers will be around to help you move out, like get your items out of your car, you're welcome in that time to also come up to the room and put things in your room as well. Um, that that piece again, like while we will have people helping you, you'll be able to come and do that. The biggest difference is that when we get to Sunday and Monday, you can get out your car to stretch your legs, but you cannot leave your car. We do not want you going in the room the same time as your cart or anything like that, because when we get to the next slide, we'll talk about the things you'll be doing while our volunteers and the moving company and all of these lovely community members will be doing while you are getting all your other pieces of joining the AU community. But the biggest difference is that that Saturday you can leave your car. We will not let you leave your car for long. You know, we don't want you lingering up in the room for too long because obviously we have to keep the train moving along, but you can certainly get out. But on that Sunday and Monday, we really encourage you to stay in the vehicle because that's how we keep the process moving so that, you know, our folks that have the later time slots aren't, you know, sitting in traffic for too long. There will be tons of AUPD around, tons of students and staff members that work in our parking department or parking facility that they will help direct traffic as much as possible to try to keep things moving. But the process moves smoothly when we're all on our P's and Q's and making sure that we are doing what needs to be done. But yeah, questions will pop up in the chat about that and we can happily answer those. I will hand it over to Ben to talk about the things that you'll be doing instead of leaving your car.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Shamira. Yeah, so as everyone has been alluding to this entire webinar, there are things to do while your belongings are being shipped up to your residence hall room, and that's all going to take place on the first floor of the Mary Graydon Student Center. That's really our like hub of student activities. So that's one of the first places we want to introduce you to when you get here for the fall semester. There's going to be plenty of signage around campus, and we also have our move-in volunteers and our orientation leaders are going to help direct you here. And so you're going to walk in the front door and you will see, and that is exactly where that little clawed head is on the map right there. And you're going to take a hard left turn and then snake through that zigzag of lines to pick up your one card. Your one card is your all access key to campus. It gets you into your residence hall. You can load money onto it for purchases both around campus and around the DC area as well. So your very first step getting into the first floor of the MGSC is picking up your one card. We strongly encourage you to submit your one card photo online before July 31st. You are able to do that through your new student checklist. If you submit your photo online and it's approved, you will not have to wait in the long line of people who did not submit their photo. The longest process or the longest part of this Mary Graydon Student Center process is waiting in line to get your picture taken at the one card office if you haven't done that. So we strongly encourage you to submit your photo online before July 31st, again, via the new student checklist. All of that is step one. After you do pick up your one card, you're going to move on to step two, which is checking into new student orientation. New student orientation is a required process for all undergraduate students joining us. Whether you are a first year student or a transfer student, you should expect to participate in new student orientation. That registration will open mid-July or so, and you'll get an email to your AU email on instructions on how to do that. So you haven't missed anything yet about NSO. That doesn't come out until mid-July. But you will check into new student orientation right where that number 2 is. And then you'll snake around past Panera Bread. And then on the other side of the Mary Graydon Student Center is where you will check in with the HRL or Housing Residence Life staff. And it is a virtual check-in. And there are going to be staff there to help you out if you do have any questions with that. From there, they're going to direct you into one of our eateries on campus. It's called The Tavern. And that is where we will have our resource fair with a number of campus partners who are excited to meet you, both new students and your family members. And it's all about them telling you how you are able to take advantage of their resources and services here as a new student. There's going to be parking transportation services. There will be the career center. There will be every other office under the sun that I'm blanking on right now, but at least those two that I mentioned will participate. And it is one of the last stops for your the Mary Graydon Student Center first floor. I will also say the resource fair is where you can also pick up your UPass. If you're unfamiliar with what your UPass is, it is something for all current students in the DC area. And with it, you're able to have unlimited free rides on all Metro buses and Metro trains during the academic year. I am super jealous of every student who gets one. I still have to pay my way through the Metro system, but all new students or all students are able to pick up their UPass in the resource fair, which is where that number 4 is. But in order to do that, you do have to have your one card first. So you can't skip that whole process and go straight to the resource fair. You do have to follow the sequence of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that'll get you into being able to use your UPass. After that, all of your required stuff at the first floor of the MGSC is completed. There are still activities to participate in. I know we'll have a photo booth, and then we'll also have an appearance by Claude, our mascot. And then there's also going to be students and orientation leaders around campus for you to engage with as well. But those are the 4 required steps of the arrival process on the Mary Graydon Student Center while you wait for your belongings to be brought up to your residence hall. And I'll turn it over to Shamira, or Sydney, actually.
Thanks, Ben. All right, so you all might be wondering who will be here on campus to help out while you are going through your move-in experience. So first I'll mention the Mary Graydon Student Center staff, or MGSC staff. These are your university administrators, just like Ben, who will be there on site, helping these processes flow along. We will have our housing and residence life staff, so many of the folks on this call as well. It's our assignments team, facilities, operations, our residence life team, like myself, our community directors, and then of course your resident assistants. So these are student leaders who live on campus with you on your floor and help create a welcoming experience for you as you transition to campus. And then we will have move-in volunteers from all across campus. This includes students, staff, faculty, all folks who are super excited to help out with this process and get you acclimated to campus as you are moving on. Our AUPD officers will be present as well to help things and get to know the students as well. So that's a great help for us. So we're all kind of joining together to just really help with this transition as you arrive to campus and get settled in, which is what we'll talk about next. So this is I think our last or second to last section of the presentation, getting settled in. So once you're moved in, what are some things you should be thinking about as you settle into your space and get acclimated to campus life? And we can go on to the next section here. Okay, so unpacking your room. Really, first and foremost, as you kind of get settled in your space, is just to take stock. We recommend taking stock of everything in your space to see if you notice any concerns, damages, things with your furniture, walls, paint, anything like that that might not be how you think it should be. You have the chance here and opportunity to inform us of this through our RIF process or room inventory form that you'll find in your housing portal. So it's very important to complete this when you first arrive so that you can avoid being charged for any existing damage at the end of the year as our staff inspects the space. We do recommend submitting that within 48 hours of your arrival just to make sure you get everything while it's fresh in your mind and get that documented for us. And if you have questions about that process, we can definitely answer those in the Q&A as well. Something else to be thinking about is that once you arrive, the residential experience is really going to begin. This is where our residence life staff will start to host some really important events and programs that will help you understand a little bit more about what it's like to live on campus and live on your own in your new home away from home, so to speak. So that starts out with our mandatory floor meetings that your RA will host on the floor. This will give you a chance to understand all of the policies and procedures that are important for you to know about living in the halls. They'll also be able to help you connect with the other residents on your floor and start building that floor community and help you, find your space on campus and connect with others. Your RAs will also be sharing some important campus resources for you in this space. And that will kick off a whole series of programming that we will be starting in the halls as well this semester. So excited to welcome you and help you get settled into your new home. And I'll pass it back to Ben.
Perfect. Thank you, Sydney. So I just wanted to review some important dates during this whole process as well. Packages are going to be able to be sent to campus. This is a slight typo. Oh, no, it's not. I just misread it. August 17th, which is about a week or so before orientation happens and the Monday of move-in. So you are able to send things as early as August 17th throughout that entire week. And then there's been some conversation in the Q&A session about what happens to parents, what happens to families. There is a family and supporters orientation as well. That's what we call FSO. We host that twice. We host it Sunday, August 23rd, and we host it Monday, August 24th as well. Those two programs are the exact same program. You only have to participate, or you only need to participate in one if you would like to. And we do that just to best align with the regular move-in days. So if your student is moving in on Sunday, you're welcome to participate in the one on Sunday. You do not have to participate in the one on Monday unless you had a really fantastic time and you want to do it again. But it is the exact same program on that Sunday and Monday. And that is going to be in the late afternoon to early evening from about 3:30 to 6:30 or so. And that move-in or that check-in experience will be again on the first floor of the Mayor Gritton Student Center where the rest of the other check-in processes happen. Then on to New Student Orientation, or NSO. That is a full 4-day experience from Tuesday, August 25th through Friday, August 28th, from about 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m. every day. That is the 9 to 5, Tuesday through Friday, is a required experience. You're not going to be able to participate in one day fully and then a couple other days half or so. It is a full 4-day 9 to 5 experience. And that's where you're going to be meeting your orientation leader or your OL, new and returning students. And then also a ton of faculty and staff who are here to help you succeed as well. As we mentioned, it is required for all new students. And a lot of the sessions during this NSO vary. Some of them are going to be learning about resources. Some of them are going to be interacting directly with new students in your orientation leader group. There's also an entire afternoon where we actually take you off campus and enjoy some activities in the DC area as well. So you're not going to be sitting in lecture halls from 9 to 5, Tuesday through Friday. I promise you that's not going to be the case. It's going to be a really, really exciting time. Following new student orientation then is All-American Welcome, which is what we call our Welcome Week programming. That happens in the evenings of new student orientation, as well as the entire week following that. So NSO ends at 5, and then All-American Welcome programming begins right at 5 as well. And those vary from either evening into late night programming as well. You can see that bulleted list is a small smattering of what we've offered in the past, where we have an outdoor movie night, late night breakfast, late night at the rec, and then a taste of home as well, all of which are free for all students to participate in at no additional charge. So your transition experience doesn't really end with the arrival. You have that required new student orientation, and then you also have All-American Welcome. An All-American Welcome is not required, but it is highly encouraged for you to participate in. And that's because that is an open invitation to all students that are here on campus, whether they are new or returning. So it's a phenomenal way to hang out with some friends you may have met during new student orientation, as well as start to meet some other students who are returning for the fall semester as well. So it's a really, really exciting time for everyone to participate in. And I'll hand it to Shamira.
Well, then you got one more, and then you can hand it to me.
Oh, there's my contact information. If you do have any questions, while I'm the only NSFP person on this call here, I am not a one-person office. There's a whole team in my office. So students, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at orientation@american.edu. And family members, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at eaglefamilies@american.edu. We also feel free to call us right there. And then there is our Instagram, where we will be reminding you of some upcoming deadlines and activities and engagement opportunities for you to participate in throughout the summer, as well as leading up to new student orientation.
Yes, and then as we round it out, we also want you all to stay connected with us as well. We know we'll be reaching out to you all a ton, but in the event that you want to reach out to us, our email is housing@american.edu. There's our phone number on screen. We also have a live chat where you can chat with our housing assignment specialists, students that work in our office, our office assistants. That is Monday through Friday from 1 to 4. And then you can also reach out to us on social media, both Instagram and Facebook, should you have quick questions or just need any kind of advice or tips and pointers as you are counting down the days until you become a real eagle and you get to step foot on campus. And with that, we are officially done with all of our slides. We all made it through. Congratulations to all of us. This is the time for us to answer some questions. I know that they've been being answered in the chat. If there's any ones that were maybe marked as we'll answer live, anyone can feel free to call them out. I'm afraid to click on anything because I don't want to mess up the screen sharing.
I got you, Shamira.
All right.
Just to kind of give my colleagues a chance to catch their breath. It's been a while since I've chatted about those maps. We had some really good questions about the role of parents, the role of students in like the logistical, like, well, what if I want to like bring a certain item upstairs, or what if I want to help unpack the room? So I just want to go through and kind of clarify some of the things that we tend to breeze through in the presentation, but that we can talk a little bit more logistically here and see if that sparks any questions for anyone. So at the kind of top of this presentation, Shamira noted our packing list, which again is on our website. One of the things that we recommended on the slide about packing is having things in your car sort of packaged up or bagged up, whether that's a duffel bag or whether that's I can only think of the like they're not tote bags, but the big like IKEA bags, if you're familiar with that, the big fabric bags where you can kind of bundle things, or if you want to have some storage units or some bins, all of that stuff is great. It's not essential because basically what's going to happen is when on Saturday and Sunday, or on Sunday and Monday rather, when you arrive to your residence hall kind of unloading area, A team is basically going to swarm your car and kind of pull things out as they go. If you want to step out of the car at that point and kind of like help us like organize, I will say Sunday and Monday is a lot more based. Shamira mentioned our work with some contracted companies in the area. They're professionals, and generally speaking, it's way faster if you just kind of let it go, and they will really, really do a great job of packing things into a cart. You do not need to bring a cart yourself. Someone asked a great question, which was, if I'm coming on Saturday and it's not as much of an assisted, and those contracted movers are not going to be there in full force like they will on Sunday and Monday, should I bring like a hand dolly, or should I bring a specific storage thing that's going to be easy for me to lug upstairs? We will still have carts, and we will still have folks helping get your car unloaded. It It'll be a little bit slower, and so we usually have folks that kind of help us unload on that day. But I wouldn't say it's essential to bring like a hand dolly in the same way I recommend it when we're doing like move out. Because what happens is during the first year in new transfer move in, we have so many carts that we bring to campus that are available to you in different areas that we can use to get you where you're going. If you're worried about it and you have like a hand dolly or a hand cart that you can easily pack and slide into your car, great, you can bring it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to need it to actually get your stuff up into the residence hall. But if you're not a particularly good packer of your belongings, like I am, I don't use the IKEA bags, and I tend to put 7 things in 9 bags somehow. I don't know how I do it, but I just bring more containers than I need, and it's disorganized. Then I would say like it's helpful to think about how you're going to store specifically on Saturday, because you may be involved in kind of unloading that car a little bit more. But to the question of on Sunday and Monday, do we want you doing that? Shamira said it best, which is really like the whole kind of line of cars in the operation that we run, that white glove service, is kind of dependent on us getting the car unloaded and things going up to the room without you. It's the reason that those car tags are so important. Every year, we do such a good job of unloading items into a room. We're just setting them down. We're not getting your room set up for you, is what I can say. So I was noticing a couple questions kind of thematically that were speaking to that feeling of like, oh, as a parent, I want to help my student get their room set up. Or as a student, I want to make sure it's set the way. You will absolutely be able to set up your room. It's just that getting things unloaded and out of your car and getting your car off of the roadway into a parking garage, that's the main goal on Sunday and Monday. So we want to make sure that we're kind of doing that for you. If there's something that you want to keep with you, like I often will have parents ask about laptops or gaming consoles or a TV that they feel more comfortable bringing across campus themselves, that's totally fine. You're just going to be doing that after you have done all the fun stuff that Ben was talking about in Mary Graydon Student Center, after you've gotten your UPass, your AUID, and your car is going to be a little bit further from where you are on campus, right? That central location is a little bit farther, and so you're going to be lugging that across campus. There's not going to be someone to help you move in the way there is when we bring you through that long line of cars. So hopefully that helps clarify, but Sunday and Monday especially, we are unloading for you. You're going to park, and then you're coming back to your residence hall room. You can split up if you want to, but honestly, we recommend that time in Mary Graydon Student Center as a time to be together with parents, families, students, so you can kind of get a sense of the campus. You're going to feel more pulled towards that building and the campus quad and some of our academic buildings more so than you will. You will forget the residence hall part of it for at least that first hour. And that's how we want you to be, because by that point, your stuff will be in your room and waiting for you. And that kind of setup, that unpacking the room that Sydney talked about, it's not going to feel like the most important thing. It's going to be kind of a fun thing to do at the end of the day.
Something I'll add on to that as well, just because I do see it happen every year. If you're traveling with either some older family members or just family members who are maybe not able to do a lot of walking around campus. Again, our campus is not that big, but in the event that that does happen, if they do need to get outside the car and come sit in the lobby of the hall, they're more than welcome to do that. I don't know what the weather will be when we get to August, but I can imagine since we'll be in DC and it's August, it'll be hot. And so if you need to come inside and sit in like the nice AC of Anderson Hall lobby, please feel free to do that. Again, just to echo Mason's sentiment. But the point is for like the majority of you all to get going along with the car. It's really just to not leave the car parked, especially on those Sunday and Monday moving days. But if there were any other questions that want to be called out, I see there's still some in the Q&A. So I don't know if our
I'll call out, Ben, I'll actually kick one back to you because I think we answered this a couple times and you ended up, I knew you were going to talk about it, but if you can kind of go over, I know people always have questions about the programming element, the kind of timing of it on Sunday and Monday, and the difference for, we got a lot of questions, we always do, about, from parents especially, but also students who have already been kind of assigned that pre-orientation early move-in day on Saturday, the 22nd. Just wondering if you can walk us kind of through the differences between those days, how that will kind of flow, because it is a little different from the programming perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So family and supporters orientation, you're talking about FSO, correct? Okay, yeah. So family and supporters orientation, will begin right around 3:30 or so, or the check-in process will begin at 3:30. And then the beginning of the program is really just a reception for you to interact, meet, and mingle with other family members of new students. And I believe that we started that late because that is right towards the end of the move-in process. So there isn't going to be a whole lot of overlap. And what Family and Supporters Orientation is, as I mentioned, it's a duplicative program on either Sunday or Monday. And it's a chance for families and supporters to meet some of the campus staff that's here to help your students succeed. So I know, while I'm not involved in the planning process, in the past we've had the dean of students that has showed up. The president has made an appearance in the past. Again, Claude, our mascot, has made an appearance. So it starts with a reception with a number of campus staff, as well as all of the family and supporters who want to participate. And then from there, it functions a little bit like a mini conference where there are different breakout rooms for you to participate in based on your interest. And that'll also help you explore parts of campus. It's not all housed within the Mary Graydon Student Center. That's just where it begins. And then throughout the entire program, we kind of fan you out across campus so you can experience where your student will be living for the next few years. I don't see a question specifically about that. Mason, did that answer the question
Yeah,
that you were referring to?
I think that's a good start. I'm kind of scrolling as we go, and seeing some questions about just like the timing too. And I have some folks in the chat saying like, what happens if there's, if we're getting in on late on Sunday, but programming starts earlier, those kind of questions. If there's something specific you're concerned about with your time slot, first and foremost, I would tell you, we have the ability to move things around. So, Kiana, we went through the housing portal and moving things a little bit earlier. Generally speaking, there shouldn't be too much of that overlap. So I'm kind of thinking that person may be thinking between Sunday and Monday or some timing between the days. And Ben kind of noted a lot of the program repeats on those days to make sure that we're including kind of for the FSO portion. We're including the same kind of program that people can hit multiple times. But if you have a question about your time slot ultimately, and you're like, hey, I want to make sure I can get to campus. I know my day that I'm moving in is Monday, and I want to move in on Monday, but I'd like to move in earlier. And you can't figure it out on the portal, or it doesn't seem like something's available, feel free to email us at housing. We can always answer that a little bit more in depth and specific. We have those requests every year. I'll kind of dovetail that a little bit. We're getting some questions too about specific programs where you may have been given a specific move-in day or a date that programming begins. Everything just said is true as well. Generally speaking, if you're meant to be here as a student, if you're meant to be here for an early, a pre-orientation program, Venture to Volunteer is an example. Venture to Volunteer has some evening programming that'll begin on Saturday, the 22nd evening. So you've already been assigned a time slot on Saturday to get you here specifically for that programming. Everybody else who's not involved in one of those pre-programs, Venture Volunteer is just one. As a first-year student, you've been assigned to a Sunday or a Monday, and Kiana kind of mentioned this, to get to Ben's point about the programming that's going on along that timeline, because those are our main bulk days where if you're not a part of a very specific pre-program, that's going to be where the bulk of what's happening is happening. So if you still can request a move-in on the Saturday if there's a particular reason. We hear from students every year that are like, something has changed, essentially changed about my travel plans, and the family can't join me on Sunday or Monday, but they can on Saturday. We can make that happen, and Kiana walked us through how to submit those requests through the housing portal. But I know there were some questions. Lincoln Scholars was one of them. If there's a particular question you have about a program's move-in date, at this stage, if what you're expecting from that program doesn't match what's on your housing portal, two steps for you. One would be to reach out to your program coordinator and make sure you have the program dates correct. So not for what Ben's talking about for new student orientation or family sport orientation. But if you're, for example, in Lincoln Scholars and it's like, hey, somebody told me I had to be here on this date, but my move-in time slot doesn't mesh with that, talk with them first to make sure that the program expectation is clear. We coordinate with those programs too. And if the answer you get is, oh yeah, your move-in date's wrong, they'll tell you to connect back with us in housing. But we do a pretty good job of working with these programs ahead of time. And generally speaking, if there's not something scheduled on the Saturday evening, we won't pre-assign students to Saturday because we want you to get here when we have the full kind of white glove service of Sunday and Monday. It's just some of our programs essentially start a little bit earlier on that Saturday date. So hopefully that answers that question. Ben, anything else you want to mention just generally about how fun it is and how exciting it's going to be and how much you're going to need to stay hydrated because it's 1,000,000 degrees and you're walking around? Tips and
I
tricks for
have
orientation.
I have nothing to say that won't make me sound extremely biased.
Oh,
Um,
very good.
Yep. I really enjoy new student orientation. I know a lot of students might look at it as it is a required step to becoming a college student. But my job is to make it fun for everyone. I think I do a pretty good job also. I have a full staff of we have over 60 orientation leaders who are current students who wanted to help you move on to campus and learn about campus as well. So I also have that whole staff, so it's not going to be me talking to you from 9 to 5 for 4 days straight. You'll have a really fantastic time with your orientation leader, and then you're also going to be in groups of anywhere from, depending on the day, 30 other students, 300 other students, your entire class all at once. It's a really cool time for you to kind of see what it's like to be a new student before the rest of the returning students make it back on campus. How is that feeling unbiased?
You did great. That was lovely.
Thanks.
Was not
Thanks.
overwhelmed by it at all. Really helpful. And I would just tack on that, like, obviously housing and residence life staff, we get super excited and super passionate about how fun move-in day is because it kind of kicks off the year for you. But it is such a small part of your first year on campus and your first year as a residential student. I know Sydney and others on the res life side can speak to just like kind of what a journey it's going to be. We want to make sure that that first step is as stress-free as possible. I'm going to acknowledge a truly stress-free move-in is impossible. You are going to forget something. You're going to leave something at home. Someone's going to make a wrong turn. You will get to campus fine. And once you get here, we really want to feel both as students, but as families, the relief of having a lot of this stuff made simple. We will be around and available throughout. We've talked about it kind of ad nauseum, but Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, especially in the following week, our campus is the busiest it ever is because we were all of our staff, all of our faculty, and all of our students are here. Many of them will volunteer and will greet you when you're driving into campus, whether that's beneath a canopied tent or whether along the line of cars or whether that's someone greeting you. We'll have the president usually stops by and helps unload some cars. Like we have dining staff, our facility staff that will stop by and do shifts in our volunteer around the residence halls. Like we're really available during this time. And so we want you to feel like the logistics of it are like the last thing you're thinking about and more so like excited by all the things that we're kind of doing. That said, there's a logistical question that I and or Sheldon, you can jump in if you want to add. There are a lot of questions, or there were, about that stem from the reporting on the room inventory form of when you move in, any kind of inherited damage, or if you need a chair that you have a chair that needs to be replaced, it's a little wobbly or something. I know where this question is coming from, but a lot of you are asking about hanging things on the walls of your residence hall room. So to totally do a hard pivot real quick, I will give you the kind of the fast version, and then Sheldon, if you want to talk a little bit about just like how we assess damage as we go through the year. Basically, what I will say is the less you are putting on the walls, the better. That does not mean you cannot decorate. Shamira did a great job of including, I think those were pictures from our Best Nest contest, Shamira. So everybody pay attention for Best Nest. It comes in the fall. But those are student rooms that have been decorated. The thing that I will say to everybody on this call is we have two types of residence hall rooms. The foundation of the building where there's cinder block, or the building where the wall is more of a drywall. The drywall is going to damage a lot easier. For those of you who have lived in a building with cinder block, you can hang up all sorts of stuff and use command strips, and it's pretty effective. The stickier the thing is, the harder it is to get off a drywall wall without removing some paint. So that doesn't mean that you can't hang stuff up. What I always recommend is those command strips come in a pack of what always seems like more than you're going to need, and then you end up running out of them. But basically, you should take one of those and do like a soft test just to make sure you know how to remove it effectively and make sure it's not something that's going to rip the paint off your wall. It usually depends on how heavy the thing is that you've hung up, because that'll dictate how like sticky and thick the command strip is. But I will tell everybody on this call very transparently, the number one thing, and Sheldon, you can speak to this, the number one thing that we assess at the end of the year when we're doing kind of close down move out damages is paint damage to walls. And it has a lot to do with how much we're hanging up on the walls. And then sometimes how we're not taking command strips off the wall and we're just kind of leaving them up for our staff to remove, which that's a big no-no. But Sheldon, anything you want to say about command strips?
No, you covered it pretty well. I'll just add really quickly because there were specific questions in the chat. Please do not put any nails into any of our walls. That is not allowed. You will absolutely be billed if that is the case. So please do not do that. To answer that question specifically, you guessed it, I am the facilities guy, so it's my team that goes through there at the end of the year and does those damages. What I can tell you all in the beginning of the year is it's just like when you're renting an apartment, when you move in for the first time. If you see a damage on the wall already when you move in, you should be including that in the RIF. We tell people that every year, and then every year they don't do it. So I am talking to parents and guardians and the people out there hearing me. Make sure if there's damage that is on the walls, in the room when they move in, it is listed in the RIF. And that's as specific as we can get. Hopefully that answered the questions. But yes, please do not put any nails into the walls.
Sheldon, could you also, there's a couple questions about peel and stick wallpapers, which maybe is kind of what Mason touched on before, but give us your facilities expertise, please.
I think that Mason touched on it very well. Of course, we want you to be able to have your best nest. But we want to make sure that you're not ruining our walls as you take them off. So you have to be very careful when you're using things that are going to peel off as you take them down. When you live in the cinder wall building, it makes it a little bit easier because obviously those walls can take up bruising. But in our communities with drywall, I always caution away. We don't say that you can't do it, but what we do say is that if it does cause damage to the wall, that will be assessed when or after you move out.
And this maybe is a good point to kind of transition. We talk a lot about the packing list. All of us have our own approach because we've been doing this work a long time. And Asab, I know you've answered some questions in the chat as well. There is so much out there, and you guys are it's the beginning of July, and I know where, especially students, your heads are at. There's so much stuff for you to buy, to decorate and store and make your space your own. And there's like a whole industry around residence hall. We have designers now that are designing residence hall layouts and getting people the setup that they need. What I would generally say, and then we can kind of kick it around to give people some thoughts. I said it at the top, less is more in terms of what you're bringing into the residence hall. The second thing I would say is we have a parent and family weekend, our kind of welcome weekend after welcome week in October is not necessarily the time this happens. Maybe around the fall break, the Thanksgiving kind of holiday falls in there. Fall break, we see so much stuff leaving that was moved in that, a floor lamp, storage bins that you didn't need. Like less is more. It sounds silly, but you will be seeing folks and you can always get stuff that you need later. It is somehow so much harder to take too much stuff out of your residence hall room as the semester progresses. And every year, we just got through it in May. It feels like it was yesterday that we were doing this, Sheldon, but there's so much stuff that students have to deal with and they're scrambling looking for a cart. What I would tell you is just use those virtual tours, get a sense of the rooms if you haven't seen them. These are not 2,200 square foot like apartments. These are residence hall rooms where a lot of the furniture that you need already provided. A lot of the storage that you need already provided, whether that's a standing armoire or a built-in closet. Get a sense of what's there and then kind of figure out what you might want to bring and bring a little less of it than you think you need. If you're one of those students who really you love organizing with a bin, we have some of those folks on our staff. Great. Bring half of the bins that you think you need because you will not end up, I don't know what it is, but you will not end up using them. Anybody want to jump in with like stuff to bring, stuff not to bring? We talk about coffee makers because it's such a thing. Like you can use them, but there's a great question here about kitchens in the residence halls. Yes, there are kitchens on every lounge. You don't need your own. Anyways, sorry, somebody else go.
Um, I think you did that was pretty comprehensive, I think.
Oh, don't know. I talked
I
about all of it because I'm
I
obsessed with it.
I thought it was fine.
I'll say something.
Please do.
This is such a small thing, but something that a lot of students forget to bring until it's too late is rain gear. So umbrellas or shoes or boots rather. It's not something you think about often, but when you need it and you don't have it, boy, it could put a real damper on your day. No pun intended.
That was good. I did mark two questions that I was going to answer live, so I just want to get them out the way. One of them, the first one was how late can families stay to help set up their rooms? You can stay as long as you need to. I remember our previous director of Res Life would say we are not in the business of kicking anyone out when you are essentially dropping off your eagle in their nest. You can stay for as long as you need to help set up, and then you can return on Monday if you are local to the area. Of course, once we get kind of like out of the move-in capacity that our campus operates in and we get to like regular kind of operating hours, we do have guest policies and things like that. I don't think a parent is going to want to spend the night in the residence hall to help their students set up. But please make no mistake, you can stay as long as you need to. You can return throughout the week if need be. I will say we do sometimes experience I won't call it an issue, but it does happen where a student will be in orientation and their parent will come on like a Wednesday and they're like, oh, I just want to set up some things for my child. We do not allow parents to go up to the rooms on behalf of their student. And I would sure hate to step on Ben's toes and pull anyone out of orientation to be like, you need to come let your mom in. So that's something to think about, but you can certainly come back and forth between campus that Sunday and Monday to help set up. And then there was another one that I marked just about staying in the car. And I just want to do this one because it was my slide. So for early move-in, when you come to campus, you are able to get out the car and help the volunteers and the community members who are unloading your car to get your items up to your room. I would say like we probably would allow 10 to 15 minutes of idle time. It really depends on how busy we are on that Saturday. However, when we get to the Sunday and Monday, so say I'm in my car, I'm driving up, I pull up to Anderson. The only thing I'm going to get out to do is maybe stretch my legs and make sure that my cart tags are attached to my carts. Because once the moving company, the volunteers, community members, once my car is empty of all of my items, I cannot leave my car idle. I have to then take my car and go park it so that I can do all the lovely things that Ben listed that happen in MGSC, Mary Graded Student Center. I don't want to overload y'all with acronyms before y'all get here. But I hope that that answers the question. And this is not like when you get here, it's not like a let's test them and see if they remembered everything we said back in July. There will be so many people around helping you through this that you won't be confused at all. And if you are confused, there will be someone literally within arm's reach that you can ask a question to. So yes, there's a couple more. They just keep popping up. I will say, obviously, this webinar goes until 10. If we were here till 10 answering questions, that's totally fine. But just know we might not take the whole time. But of course, as the questions are coming up, we want you all to feel comfortable asking them. So feel free to ask away.
I think I saw we've got some good questions kind of following up from things we've talked about. We had a couple questions. We kind of talked about sticking around. For those who haven't been to DC before, many of you have toured the campus, but I would just say too, if you're looking at doing what Shamir is talking about, that kind of extended stay through the weekend, generally speaking, I know many folks will grab a hotel downtown or in the area. We had a good question about parking on campus and how that works. Generally speaking, parking during move-in is kind of covered. We kind of shut the campus down to get everybody moved in. That said, if you're planning on going back and forth between campus, just keep in mind, and we can help you with this on the day. If you're arriving on Saturday, for example, but then you're going off-site to stay at a hotel, and then you're coming back to campus on Saturday to maybe participate in some of the FSO events that Ben talked about. If that's what you're doing as a parent or family member, I would recommend just so you're not getting in the long line of cars to be unloaded with the rest of our first year students. You have a general sense of like where else to park on campus. We won't get into super details on this call because I don't know how many of these will actually impact. But one really healthy thing that I recommend folks do while they're looking around campus is like get a sense of the place on that first day when you have your car parked and your belongings waiting for you in your room. I know that for some of us, like that feeling of like I need to get to my space and kind of unpack and get ready. Take your time and like walk around campus, ask questions. And one of those questions might be like, hey, I'm thinking about coming back tomorrow. Where's the best lot for me to park? And we might direct you to East Campus and get you a campus map that sends you to a different area of campus that is just a short walk over. Things like that are constantly happening and won't necessarily fall into the categories that we've talked about on this call. So just keep in mind that if you're planning a longer stay in DC, DC's great. August is like terribly hot, and I don't necessarily recommend it as the best month, but we're stuck with what we have for move-in, unfortunately, but there's tons of great stuff going on in the district, and definitely some opportunities where families, if you want to take advantage of the fact that you'll be in the area, that would be kind of how I approach it there. So you can feel like you have your time on campus and you're walking around with your student doing the resource fair, but then you're also able to kind of get back and forth between and not feel like you're kind of stuck. Um, Other questions that are popping up. Mostly around the timing, Ben. A lot of questions still about timing, which of just like orientation events. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, but I think generally, like, we do a pretty good job of communicating, and that schedule clarifies over time. I don't know if there's anything you want to go into specifically, but things to call out for Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, mainly about time, both from the FSO, Family and Supporters Orientation, and NSO, New Student Orientation. We do work with all the folks you see on our screen here to make sure that there is either no overlap or as little overlap as possible. Particularly with new student orientation, all of the logistical parts of the arrival and move-in process will wrap up either Sunday or Monday, and then new student orientation begins on Tuesday. So as far as the logistical process of moving into your residence hall, there's not going to be any overlap with the NSO process. NSO again also ends at 5 p.m. each day. And then there is our All-American Welcome, our Welcome Week programming that takes place throughout the evenings. It's not packed from 5 to midnight every day with programming. So there is an opportunity for you to go back to your residence hall and continue to set it up in the evenings if you would like to do so, if you didn't have a chance to do that on Sunday or Monday. Or you can also do that on Saturday and Sunday prior to the start of the semester. As far as Family Supporters Orientation goes on Sunday and Monday, again, the check-in process begins at 3:30, which is already once the move-in process has ended. So again, there shouldn't be a whole lot of overlap from the logistical perspective of move-in and any of the orientation programs.
Thanks, Ben. Lots of questions. We're at the point now where things tend to get specific, so we'll address things in the chat. But I'll kind of pitch just a couple of general questions to the group. We've talked a lot about the logistical planning. Does anybody have a particular thing about move-in that is most exciting to you as a staff member? Something that you think we do particularly well or that you want to share as like a highlight?
I won't say what we do well because it feels a little self-serving, but I will say that I am one of the people in the office that loves move-in so much because I think it is so beautiful watching families drop off their students. It is truly such a magical experience, and I hope I don't sound like a Disney employee talking about how beautiful and wonderful it is, but it is a really beautiful experience, and I
Yeah.
really hope you all are excited. It will be hot. It can be stressful if something does not go right, but I promise you that like it's all worth it. It's all really beautiful. So I hope you all are excited. And I know the logistics pieces of figuring out what can you bring or how long will it take in the cars and whatnot. I know all that is like stressing you out, but it's one of those things in the moment where it's like, it was all worth it. That was beautiful and cheesy. I felt good saying that.
That
So
was great.
thank you.
I would just say the opportunity to, we've done a lot to say like how much of the logistical planning is done for you. It's a real moment to like meet people around campus. We'll all have name tags on all of our volunteers, whether that's a faculty member, staff member, or another student, an upperclassman. Some of our student athletes are great with like helping us out. Our student orgs come out on campus to support. My favorite thing that we do is like the whole day feels like it's no surprise because of how I'm doing this webinar, but I love chatting it up and I love like talking to people and welcoming people to campus. To me, that's like the most fun thing just because I've been a part of other campus move-ins where it feels so like you're trekking across campus, you're trying to find an office building. Like our campus and our kind of district and our just attitude and culture really lends itself to being, AU is a place where you're going to meet people pretty quickly. And we try and start that off right off the bat by like from the moment that car comes on, somebody's gonna be telling you to roll down your window and talking to you a mile a minute about where you're going, what you're gonna see, and that'll continue throughout the day. That's just super fun to me, and we try and make as many opportunities for that throughout the day. You're right, Shamir. It does sound kind of like Disney adult talking about the theme park, but it really truly is like a big part of what we do, and we want to make sure that the day for our students and for our families is an opportunity to create space for y'all and for you to meet us, whether that's a staff member or a faculty member, and kind of talk through to kind of get started on like what it is you want your AU experience to be, because it'll be many different things, but those conversations happen pretty much immediately, and we're a lot of us on this call are a part of all of them, or as many of them as we can be.
I would say
Anybody else favorite
my
stuff?
favorite part, yeah, we become cheerleaders. It's no surprise. So we're really serious right now on the call, but I turned into a cheerleader literally around August 1st. Um, and it's so fun to be able to welcome you all in, especially the parents. So you'll see me on North Side usually, because that's the area I'm in. So you'll see me on North Side ushering the parents around. Usually the parents are crying, and that's okay because we have spiels for that. It's just a very fun time to be able to be on campus and to welcome the students in and to see people that are in college for the first time. And that's really my favorite part. I'll say that, the move-in period, especially first year move-in.
Yes. As the questions are slowly rolling in, I also noticed that our attendee count is dropping off. I'll maybe take liberties here and say at 9:30 will give us a stop. But trust and believe if 9:30 comes and you have a question at 9:30 in 5 seconds, you can DM us. I'll be on my phone for a little bit on Instagram, or you can email us. I will say with the July 4th holiday coming up, our university is closed tomorrow and Friday, and obviously through the weekend. But if you have any questions that come up, we can we'll get to those on Monday when we are back in office.
I'd love to give a quick plug for our themed communities, if that's
Yeah.
okay. We have three themed communities on campus. These are communities designed for students who have shared interests or experiences who would like to live together. We have three available, and we have actually multiple spots available in each of our communities still. So if you are interested, it is not too late to reach out to see if we can place you in one of these communities. I've actually already seen one email come through during this webinar with interest, so I'd love to see more trickle in the next few days. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at Housing to get you placed in one of these spaces potentially. Thank you.
If you don't follow us on social media, that's kind of where I'll do my plug. Shamira and her team do a great job of highlighting a lot of what the year looks like. Like our culture posts have gone like way through the roof over the last 2 years. We do a lot to kind of show you who we are before you come, especially from the residential perspective. So give us a follow. I know Shamira put that up. It's in the recording. But our home at AU Instagram is really reflective, and we communicate with students in lots of interesting ways throughout the year. We mentioned Best Nest. Shamira, when do we do that? Usually in this fall semester.
It starts early October, I believe, maybe even late September. But yeah, you all will see tons of things about it, and it's really fun contest because you get to win fun prizes, not like School merch is fun. I don't want to say school merch isn't fun, but I always go for the good prizes. I'm talking digital cameras, certificates to neighboring restaurants, things like that.
And yes, someone is asking the loft video where we kind of started many years ago, Shamira, is on our Instagram. I think you can
Yes,
still
I just
find it.
pinned it. It's pinned as like one of the top 3 posts. So if you go on our page, you'll be able to see it immediately.
It's a great example of all the loft questions we get at this time of year, how we're all thinking about the logistics of everything. So I totally appreciate it. There's stuff online to help you out. And like I said, as Shamira mentioned, as Ben mentioned, as all of us have mentioned, feel free to connect with us if you have a question or if something is just like not lining up right with what you'd expect. Just let us know. We're available from now until August. And then by then, we're here in a much different role supporting you in person. But it's going to go by quicker than you think. So reach out to us sooner rather than later. Shamira mentioned we're closed for a holiday the end of this week, but next week we'll come back to some fun questions from y'all. Any final things we want to call out, Shamira? I think we're doing great.
Yeah, I think we're good. I know there's been a couple of questions about if different LLCs have their own orientation.
Yeah.
I know they have programming efforts. I don't think those coincide with some of the larger NSO events. I know they do have their own programming things that will take place on their floor, just kind of like meet and greets and what their cohorts and whatnot. But I think just reach out to the program leaders. They'll definitely have more details. We weren't able to get them on the call tonight, but they'll have more details on that.
And some communications come out we go a little bit earlier with our move in. Some of those communications come out a little bit later in July. So keep those in mind. It's the reason we talk you through how to change your time slot if you need to, so kind of heavily. But we'll have some things that are released from partners. But yeah, ask them and then connect with us if you have a concern.
Yes. All right. And with that,
Okay.
we've answered over 200 and looks like close to 270 questions, which is really good. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you all to my colleagues for being on here tonight. And I wish everyone a safe holiday weekend. If you're in the DMV area, please stay hydrated and out of the heat as much as you can and enjoy yourself. Everyone have a good night. Bye, guys.
Bye,
Looking forward
all.
to it. Bye, y'all. See you soon.
All
See you in
right.
August.